here we go again. Welcome back to Motorcycle Junkie. Now we're still on this this bike that I've definitely fallen out of love with and don't like anymore. We're clearly in get rid of territory. Carbs off. Just clean all that fucking smeg off there. We still seem to have an air leak, which I think I might have gotten to the bottom of. But each time I take this carb off to cure the problem and put it back on, I seem to have made it worse. Just clean that shite off there. Anyway, I think I know what the problem is now. So I've took the carb off again. I've been inspecting this this inlet manifold because that's where it seems to be leaking from. And how well that will come up on the camera. I think you can see it. Just on that edge there, just there in front of my thumb. Can you see that crack? I think that's our problem. I think that's where the air's getting in. Oh, it's pissing petrol all over the place. Now I don't know if I've got another one of them. I'll have a look through my stash. I've got a whole box of broken carburetors and all sorts in here, so I'll have a look through. I have a feeling I haven't got one, but anyway, that's what I think the problem is. So I'm going to whip that manifold off, see if I can match it up with anything, see if I can make something, knock something up, bodge it some way, and we'll get it back together and see if it runs any better. Oh, the joys of chinky bikes. Right, I've got this off. I'm not so sure now. Yes, it is cracked on that edge, and for the matter of fact it's cracked on that edge as well. It's cracked both sides, but it's only cracked in the outer side of the hole, there and there. Still can't see any reason why it shouldn't have been sealing around there perfectly okay. But yeah, it's either way it's not very good. It does look a little misshapen as well, but I don't know if that comes through. It seems to have a little bit of a twist on it, but I would have thought it would still seal with them gaskets on. So, still not sure if I've got to the bottom of the problem or not. Anyway, let me have a root through, see what I got. Right, that's the old one. And I've had a bit of a rummage and I've found this. Now it's quite different in that it's got this shield thing, whatever that's for. I think it's probably a heat shield or something. With regards to the hole centres, they are absolutely identical, but the bore is ever so slightly different, and I mean marginally. And it's a lot thicker, a hell of a lot thicker. I don't know if it's going to work, but there's only one way of finding out, isn't there? Right, slight change of plan. What I've done, that was way too thick. So if I'd have used it as it was, I'd have had to extend the studs, cut down the connection to the airbox and all sorts, because it would have put the carb a lot further away, and fuck knows what other problems I would have run into. So what I've done is I've got my angle grinder and I have reduced the thickness of that down, right down, and then what I've also done to ensure that I've got a nice flat surface, I've got this chopping block here, which I stole out the wife's kitchen months ago. She still hasn't missed it, you know. So a bit of sandpaper, and then I've been, I can do it one-handed, but basically been smoothing that down on top of the chopping block, and I've now got a relatively smooth surface. I've done both sides just for the hell of it. Yeah, hopefully that'll work. So let's slap it on, see what happens. Right, it's bolted back on. Is it going to make a difference? I'm going to say no. I'm going to be a pessimist and say no. Fucking clutching thing don't work at all. What have I done? Fuck's sake. Come on, behave yourself. Oh, what have I done? Come on. Something silly. Oh, suddenly you have to pull the clutch in. Right, let me put you down, hang on. That weren't working before. Now suddenly it decides to want to work. Right, there we go. Petrol. And charge. No, it's no better. Let's get the old spray. See if it's still. As you can hear for yourself, still showing an air leak. So where the fuck that is now, I don't know. So let's take it apart again. Right, I think I'm onto something. Not entirely sure whether this is the be all and end all of the problem, because it's still not running right. What I've done is I've blocked off that air valve intake on that manifold. I've just put a bit of pipe on it with a screw in the end, and then the pipe that was going to it I've also blocked off with a screw. So they're both blocked, and it does actually run better. It's still not running right, but it's running better. So what I've probably got to do next is take the tank off and check all of these air valve pipes. And I know there's hundreds of people out there screaming at me, delete it, delete it, delete it. I don't want to do that unless I'm forced. They're there for a reason. You know, my opinion is quite alone, unfortunately. Everybody says delete them. It doesn't give you any more horsepower, despite what people tell you, and it's not an EGR, despite what people tell you. It's an air injection valve. So anyway, I am going to diverse. I am going to trace them pipes and see if I can find any of them split and damaged. As an absolute last resort, I will delete it. But anyway, it's still a bit lazy revving. There's a little slow coming back down the rev range, which still tells me that it's either jetted wrong or running. Probably just wants setting up. It might be running running lean, I mean. But anyway, we are onto something. Don't think I can be asked today. What I may do though is put that original spacer back on, because I think that was not the problem. So we'll pop that up on there. Next time we set the carb off, I think I'm probably going to put that back on. Right, that's it for today. I'll tag this onto the onto another video because it's not long enough on its own. But we'll get that tank and seat off, which in itself is a pain in the ass. And we'll see what we can find out. Right, cheers guys. Catch you later. Hey up everyone, we're back. It's a different day and we are going to crack on with this Chinese piece of shite. Apologies for the wind. I think Storm Sweaty Betty, is it? Something along them lines is on its way. And my poor old fence, it's on its last legs. It ain't going to stand another storm. I think Sweaty Betty will pretty much finish her off, which is good. Well, it's not good, but I've got that replaced next week. Someone commented that I should remove that washing line pole. I can't remember who it was now, but whoever you were, there you go, you'll be delighted it's gone. Reason it wasn't in use, but the reason I haven't removed it previously is because it was holding my rickety old fence up. But next week that's going to be replaced, so all good. Anyway, back to the bike. The issue I've got is I think this valve, this air injection valve, and that's what it is, an air injection valve, not an EGR, but I think it may be faulty. Now I do not advocate removing them. I'm sure I've had a chat about this before on my channel. They do serve a purpose, and in fact if you've got a catalytic converter they're pretty much essential, and removing them will do more harm than good. If you haven't got a catalytic converter, removing them will do no harm, but it will do no good either. I've had a comment on my channel, hang on, let's have a quick look at my phone because I forgot his name now. But I mean they're there for everybody to read. So J-Man NPT, we've had a conversation. I'm not here to ridicule anybody, you know, but he has commented, and if you're listening mate, again, this is not to have a go at you, you've commented that removing them gives you more power. It really doesn't, and I'm sure I've left you a link to some resources that sort of tell you how they work, what they're for, the fact that they're not EGR valves because they do not recirculate the gas. EGR, exhaust gas recirculation, that is not a recirculation valve, it is a one-way air injection valve. They serve a very different purpose. Can't remember the details, but it's somewhat along the lines of squirting oxygen into your exhaust to clear your catalytic converter. Now having said all that, I believe my one's playing up. I believe it to be the cause of some of my running issues. Now today's mission, should I choose to accept it, and I do, is to check all the hoses, see if I can find anything wrong, any leaks or anything. I'm then going to bypass it and see if it runs perfectly. It does run better when I block off that thing there, the manifold vacuum pipe. It does run better, but it doesn't run perfectly. It could be that that's faulty. I haven't got enough. I haven't got another one. So on this occasion, I may remove it purely because it's faulty, not because it will give me any benefit whatsoever. So we're going to carry on, crack on, do some off-camera work. I'm not going to film much today, mainly because this bike's fucking boring, and the other reason is it's fucking windy today and the wind plays havoc with my sound. So we'll crack on, dip you in and out as and when, and see if we can get this running a damn sight sweeter than it is at the moment. Oh, the things I do, eh? Right, let me tell you what I've done. For starters, I've put that original spacer back in there. I've replaced the O-ring in between the carb and the spacer because it was quite clearly leaking there when I sprayed the accelerant on it. It revved up. So I've replaced the O-ring with a second-hand O-ring because I've got a great big box of O-rings of every different size you can imagine, but I didn't have that size. So I found a second-hand one. I'm hoping it'll be okay. It's that sort of thing there. It's the same thing, but it's in there. The other thing I've done, which in my opinion is the most important, hang on, let me just get that fuel pipe back on properly. There we go. Yeah, the other thing, I don't know how I missed this. Well, I missed it because I weren't even fucking looking, but the air fuel mix screw there, it weren't there. It didn't actually have an air screw in there. So now that I've put one in, I've robbed one off a second-hand carb and I've backed it out 2 turns, I think. I can't remember. We'll fine-tune it later. But that, I'm really confident this is going to run properly now, and it was nothing to do with the air injection valve, which I'm pleased about because I really didn't want to remove that. So yeah, that's what we've done. We're going to slap it back together, and I'll bring you back just before I fire it up, see what difference it's made. Right, we're as back together as we need to be. I've filled up the carburettor through that pipe there with my trusty sewing machine bottle. Let's turn it on, see what it does. If I've got enough battery. Already, I can tell you now, already that's better. Turn the idle down. Wow. I think we can call that cured. I don't know what cured it. The air fuel mixture screw missing would have been an issue.
Hello vlog.
My granddaughter interfering. Yeah.
I'm not interfering, vlog. Bye.
Bye. Little sod. I'll wrench you wait until I turn the camera on. Where was I? Yes, the O-ring could have been the problem. The missing air fuel screw missing thing, me bob, me jig, what you fella, funny thing. That missing would almost certainly be the problem. In fact, I wonder if when I was squirting the accelerant on and it was revving up, I wonder if the accelerant was actually going round and into that air fuel screw, and maybe that O-ring weren't leaking at all. But anyway, I really don't care. I really don't give a fuck. All I'm happy with is that it's running properly. The air injection valve is still connected and working properly. Didn't want to disconnect that. That was going to be a last resort. So yeah, I think we'll get the tank and seat back on and move forward. Very happy chappy. Right, let's have a look what we're up to. Now, as you can see, I've put the side panel on this side. Little bit of bodgery in that I've had to put a little cable tie in the corner there because it had a lug broke off. It's very secure. It's got a bolt at the bottom. The other side, I've not got the side panel on because that also has the tab broke off at the bottom, and by way of a bit of bodgery, I've JB welded a washer on there. Not one of my finer repairs, but I couldn't think what else I could do with it. We'll let that dry overnight. It is secure in 2 other places with push-in rubbers. There was one of the push-in rubbers missing just there, which I keep a spare stock of in my stash, so I was able to replace that. That one was okay. Battery's secure. It's more or less ready for MOT, but I'm not going to MOT it. Let's fire it up. But what it's actually doing is when you, I've messed about with the idle mix and I've tried to adjust it and I just can't get it right. When you rev it hard, it sort of misses before it goes to full revs. When you let the throttle off, it's sort of a little bit slow to go back down. Not terrible. Let's see if I can show you. See what I mean? That's a little bit slow. And part of that is a tachometer. It's running very well. But, I'll try and show you. We'll go back to idle and then I crank it hard. See what I mean? You've got to ease it. Now, I could take the carb apart. I could fuck about with the jets. I could spend all day trying to get the idle mix right. And it may or may not come out right, I don't know, but I've just been on AliExpress, brand new carb delivered to my door, £11.24. Why would I fuck about trying to get that carb going? It's just not worth it. I mentioned this before. So I've ordered one of them. AliExpress are not the quickest, so it could be a couple, 2-3 weeks before that turns up, but I'm hoping whip the carb on and this will be pretty much MOT ready, more or less finished. Right, I'm going to leave that there for the time being. I've got to find somewhere to store it because I haven't got an awful lot of room, and I'm hoping that we will soon start tearing into this GPZ 500. I've had a few messages about this. I know a lot of you guys want me to crack on and get this started. I want to crack on and get it started. I just needed to get that piece of shit done and out of the way, and we more or less have. So yeah, thanks for bearing with me, guys. I'm hoping to crack on with this very, very soon. Cheers then, catch you later, bye bye.